Guys, Gary Tripwell. Just wanted to talk about something a little different today. I want to discuss your value. Not your value to us. You are valuable to us, but your value in doing what you do. Our customer base is very broad. We have a huge spectrum from, the very beginner flipper who's like, this is the first project I've ever done, to someone who's like, I've been doing this for 30 years, whatever it is. There's just a huge spectrum that we deal with and work with in our customer base. But a question I think everyone struggles with on that whole spectrum is, what are you worth? When you finish a piece and you go to put it online, if you're going to sell it, if you're doing client work, obviously you have to come up with a quote and factor in everything. And how do you come up with that price? What is the value? And I think a lot of people undervalue themselves. I think there is a time when you're learning. There's a time when you're developing, and you have to sort of kind of earn your stripes a little bit. So maybe you're not going to make as much then. You can't kind of just come out of the gate, charging top dollar. But you have to earn some portfolio pictures and some things that make people understand what you do and why they should consider you for either projects that they have for you or to buy your pieces. I think it's important, though, to come up with a formula, come up with something that's not emotional, because it's easy to get emotional when you're doing the kind of work that I did for 21 years. You just fall in love with it, and suddenly you think it's worth thousands, when in reality it might not be. Or you might think, well, I don't know, am I that good? Am I worth it? And you might charge so little, and someone snatches it up and they're just like, wow, I got that for next to nothing. That's amazing. I think it's important to find a balance where you value yourself, you value your time, you value what goes into the projects, but you have to do it in a way that isn't emotional. So you have to kind of think that through, and it's going to be a little different for everybody. So I don't want to tell you what a formula should be, but you have to factor in, first of all, what your products are, like what you're using. Every project's different. One project may require very little in terms of sandpaper, very little in terms of the stripper that you're using ahead of time. Hopefully it's QCS. That's all I'll say about QCS. But all these products that you have to use, the stains, the paints, though, it depends on what you're doing and what you're going to need to use. So every project's going to be different. One dresser next to another dresser next to another dresser, they might be all different prices because the amount of time you put into it, the amount of products you put into it, all those things, the details there's just a lot of things to factor in. You can't just say, I'm going to charge this much for a dresser. For every dresser I'm going to do, it's going to be this much money. You can't do that. You have to think about it because you have to be profitable. You actually have to make money, but you also don't want to price yourself out. So, in the mid-century furniture market, which is kind of my background, kind of the higher end collectible furniture, a lot of people, they'll inherit grandma's furniture. They go online, they'll take a snapshot of it, use Google Lens, and suddenly, boom, an ad comes up from First Dibs, or Cherish, some of these websites, and it says, wow, it's worth $10,000, and they get all excited because they think they just hit the jackpot. But the reality is that that's not the true value of something to the everyday person. That's a specific customer base. So to post that on Facebook Marketplace, it's never going to go anywhere. It's going to usually have to go up a chain of people. So you're going to sell it to a dealer who could sell it to maybe a higher end dealer who could sell it to a higher end dealer, and eventually it ends up on First Dibs for $10,000. That's how that works. So don't get excited. Don't get too excited. But you need to be realistic. You need to do your research, know what you're working with, know how you should treat it, because sometimes, if you're a furniture painter, you paint a piece that you shouldn't paint. You should restore it. And if you don't know how to restore it, you should start to learn what restoration looks like. There's tons of accounts that are just phenomenal to follow that will show how to actually restore a piece from start to finish to what it should be. So when you're factoring in value, factor in your time. Don't devalue yourself. You don't want to be working for less than you could go make at like a fast food restaurant. What's the point? I mean, yeah, passion and love and all that is important, but you've got to make some money. You've got to be profitable. So you've got to factor in what your time is worth. Figure out what you should be making per hour, what you need to be making per hour to make it worth you doing it. And then you need to factor in all the materials and all these other details that come into play. But I want to just tell you this, and this is the big point of this whole video. Hopefully you got to this point. You're valuable. Even if you're a beginner, you're valuable. If you're an expert, you're valuable. Anyone who is pouring themselves into something is valuable. And no matter how ugly the comments are, no matter what people have to say about what you do, just close your ears. I mean, I'll say this, listen, like hear that. Maybe there's some good wisdom in some of the comments, even if they come across a little bit edgy and mean, because they are. But try to close yourself into yourself. Think about why you're doing what you're doing. Think about what wakes you up in the morning to do it and enjoy it. You should enjoy it. If you're not enjoying it, then stop. Just stop doing it. Go do something else. Go get a job somewhere else or go whatever. Find another hobby. If you don't love it, you shouldn't be doing it. So wake up. Pour yourself into the pieces, but always be learning. Learn new techniques, not just techniques in your little area of like just painting furniture or just restoring furniture, but be like studying the new finishes that are on the market, the new products that are out there. Just become a student and a learner, because that's going to make you become the best version of yourself, and you should be valuing yourself there now. You should know that that's where you're headed, and value yourself there, because no one else is going to. You have to wake up and value yourself that way, because no one else will until you get there. And that might be 10, 20, 30 years from now. But if you wake up and you feel low and you feel like nobody you're just going to give up. You have to believe in where you're headed, and don't give up. You're valuable. Don't forget that.